All right, this should be about 15 minutes of string one coming at you. First, we got makeout word. We're given kind of two strings. One that's 4 characters, the opening and closing brackets, and the word, which is the thing we want to stick in the middle. So we can do this in one return statement. So first, we want the first 2 characters of our out string. So anytime you want part of a string, use substring. First character we want is the thing at index 0, the first open bracket. And the first character we don't want is the thing at index 2, because this is index 0, index 1, index 2. So first thing we don't want is index 2. So, so we'll do out.substring 02, and then we want to put the word in, whatever they give us, yay or woohoo or word. That'll become this string right here. And then we also want to do out.substring. And then if you give substring just one index, it'll go from that index to the end of the string. So that'd be the easiest way to do that. So we've got index 0, 1, 2. So we're going to go from this, like your first closing bracket, to the end. So I'll do out.substring 2, throw a semicolon, and we are done. Next guy. We got extra end. We want to do 3 copies of the last 2 characters of the string. This is a great little question. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little temporary string. We'll call it S or whatever. And I'm going to make it equal to the last 2 characters of the string. Now, if you want the last 2 characters of a string, you need to know, we're going to use substring because we're getting part of a string. So we need to know what is the index of the second last character. Anytime you're doing second last, you need the index relative to the length. So that will be the string's length. -1 would get you the last character. -2 gets you the second last character. And if we just give substring one number, because all of this is just one number, it'll go from there to the end of the string. So we gave it the second last character, and it'll go to the end of the string. And then we just want 3 copies of this. So just that, and we are done. We got the last 2 characters, and we're returning 3 of them smushed together. Remember, plus sign sticks strings together. Next guy. First 2. So all we want to do is we want to grab the first 2 characters of the string. However, it could be shorter than length 2. So easiest way to do that is just throw a little if statement in here to protect against a smaller string than 2. So if the length, if that is less than 2, all we want to do is we want to return the string itself, because that's what it told us to do. But if it's longer than that, notice I don't really need this else here, because if it hit that return, the whole thing would be over. So the only time I'd be able to hit this line is if this if was false. So if it's too long, I just want to grab the first 2 characters. To do that, it is substring. Got to give it first index I want. I want the first character. First index I don't want is the index of the third character, which is index 2, because we started at 0. Done. All right, so, oops, almost done. Return. There we are. Next guy. First half. So we want the first half of the string. If we want the first half of a string, we are going to need to do substring. Anytime we want a piece of a string, we're doing substring. But we're going to want to start at index 0 if we want the first half, but we want to find the index of the middle point of the string. And the only way we can do that for strings that could be of different lengths is to use the string.length command. And if we want the halfway point, we're going to divide that by 2. It's going to be using integer division, so anytime we get 0.5 or whatever, it'll chop that off. It happens to work perfectly for a string of even length, so if we just do this, we are done. First half, done. All right, So this is a good trick. Anytime you want to reference the middle index of a string, you're going to be doing string.length divided by 2. If you're doing anything else funny, you might need to add 1 or subtract 1 to that, depending on even or odd. But yeah, not too bad. All right, so next guy, we want to return a version of a string without the first and last character. So nice and easy. It's just returning string.substring. And then first index of the first thing we want is the second character. Second character, since we started 0, is at index 1. And then we want to go, the first character we don't want is the last character. And the index of the last character is the length minus 1. So if you've got a string of length 4, the last index would be at index 3. So cat is a 3-letter word. The last index, since it's 0, 1, 2, is index 2. So it's the length minus 1. Always throw this in. And we are done. Next guy. Combo string. So we've got 2 strings now, and we want to return a form of short, long, and short, with the shorter string on the outside and the longer string on the inside. And either one could be the longer string. So this is pretty interesting. I'm gonna do this a little funny. This is a little trickier. I'm gonna throw a little if here, and if let's say I want a to be the short length. So if a dot length is greater than b dot length, I want to switch them. So basically, first thing right away, I want a to be my short string and b to be the long string. So if that is not the case, I'm going to switch them. It's going to be a little weird. I'm going to need a little temporary string to hold something's temporary variable. So let's say first I'm going to have my temporary variable hold what a is. And then I'm going to set a to b's value. And then I'm going to set b to the original value of a that we stored in temp. We had to store it in temp because after this line, a now has b's value. And we'll set b to a. So if a is the long string, not the short string, we swap them. So that is swapping code. And then at that point, we want long, short, long. So we just return a plus b plus a, done. All right. Remember, anytime you want to swap 2 variables, you do need a temporary variable to hold one for a sec. Yeah, take a look at that. Pause this video until you understand this. This is just swapping the values in A and B. All right. So we've got 2 strings. We want to stick them together, but we want to remove the first character of each. So this one's pretty easy. So we're just doing 1 line, and we're just doing substrings of both of them starting at index 1. Because if we just give it 1 number, it'll go from that to the end of the string. So we got a dot substring 1. So starting at index 1, it'll go to the end of the string if we just give it 1 number. Plus b dot substring 1. If we do that, beautiful, all done, nice and easy. Next guy. So we want a rotated left version. So really rotating left means we're printing off all the string except for the first 2 characters, and then we print the first 2 characters. So it's again one return statement. We'll just return the starting in index 2 to the end of the string. So string dot substring 2. So we're going from the 3rd character to the end of the string, and then we are doing the first 2 characters. First 2 characters, the first index we want is 0, and the first index we don't want is 2. So we want characters 0 and 1 for the first 2 characters. Do that. And we are done. Next guy. same thing with the right one, except we'll put the last two characters first. So pretty much exactly the same thing. String dot substring. We want part of a string. We want to put the last two characters first. So last two, we need the index of the second last character, which is relative to the strings dot length. So it's the length minus 2 is the index of the second last character. If we just give it one number, it goes from that to the end of the string. But then we got to jam everything up to the second last character next to it. So string dot substring. And if I want everything except for the last two characters, first index I want is 0 because I want to start at the first character. And the first index I don't want is this string dot length minus 2. So throw that in there, and we are done. Bam. All right, next guy. The end. So given a string, return a string length 1 from its front, unless front is false, in which case return a string length 1 from its back. The string will be non-empty. So we've got this Boolean front, and basically we just want to make an if depending on front. Front will be true or false on its own. So we could do front equals true, but I'm lazy. It's true or false on its own. So if front is true, this just means front will be true or false on its own. So if true, if front equals true, what am I supposed to do? Return the front of the string? Yeah. Return the first character from the string. So I'm going to return string dot substring 0, 1. That grabs the first character. And then if front is false, keep in mind I don't need this else. I'm just throwing it in there because if front was true, I would have hit this return and I'd be done the program. So assuming I hit this line, this was false. But I just like the look of it, so I'm putting it in there. So if that, I want to return the last character. So I'm going to do another string dot substring. And the first character I want is the second last character, and I'm going to go from, or the last character, and I'm going to go from that to the end. So the index of the last character is the length minus 1, and we are done. Do remember to always check what you were given. In this case, we were given the string and this Boolean true or false thing that's front, and that's kind of a signal depending that shows us if we want the first character or the last. And we do whatever it tells us because we're good little programmers. All right, I'll do maybe the last two. So given a string, return a version of it without both the first and last character of the string, and it may be any length, including 0. So I can only take off the first and the last character of the string if it's at least 2 characters. If it's less than 2, I'm going to return the empty string, because if I take away the first and last characters, I'd be left with nothing. So if string.length is less than 2, I'm going to return the empty string. By the way, this is kind of like guarding, like short circuit method evaluation, except this if occurs first. So if I get to the else, then that means that the string must be at least length 2. So if it's at least length 2, I'm going to return a version of the string, a substring, a smaller version of it, without the first character. So I'm going to start at index 1, and I'm going to get rid of the last character. So I'm going to go until the last character, which is at index string.length minus 1. And so we got it. Maybe see if I can sneak in one last. Given a string of even length, return a string made of the middle 2 characters. The string leads re. String leads re. So this will be another finding indexes with string.length divided by 2 to get kind of the middle. So I'm going to return a substring, but it's going to have some weird indexes. Or sorry, string.substring. Stir.substring. First index I want is probably going to be stir.length divided by 2. Length divided by 2 for an even number, it would be, let's say, index 3 divided by 2 would be 1. So that would be where I'd want to start. And then I want to keep going. So I want the middle 2. So that's the first index I want. And then I want string.length divided by 2 plus 2. And I think that might work. We'll test it out. I can always adjust if I need to. No, I went too far. So it looks like -1 and +1. If we do that, we're all good. So yeah, it's all relative to the length divided by 2, because that's kind of the middle point. If you think it through, you can figure it out. Or you can just do what I did and screw it up, and then notice how I screwed it up by looking at my output and what it should be, and then just adjusting my indexes until it works. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.